And joining me now from Los Angeles to talk about the space programs for the U.S. and China is Dr. Gregory Kulacki, and he's part of the Union of Concerned Scientists. Dr. Kulacki, thank you so much for joining us this Saturday afternoon.
Glad to be here.
So space observers are actually really excited about what's going on right now. Can you tell us about the comparison between what the Chinese are doing and the U.S. is doing?
Well, many of the things that China is doing in space now are things that the United States did back in the 1960s and the 1970s. Of course, China's doing with a much higher technological base than the United States did back in the era, but the tasks are basically the same.
Okay, and how do you feel about the possible contributions China is making in space? What is the international reaction, and is there some anxiety?
Well, I think it's really important to realize that China's made a commitment to space science and space exploration, and you can see that in the success of its program on the moon, as well as its space station and other projects that China's engaged in. And I think rather than seeing this as a threat or a challenge, I think a lot of people in the space science community see it as an opportunity to have a large, enthusiastic, and well-funded cadre of space scientists to work with in China.
Can you tell us about restrictions and laws here in the U.S. that forbid the working relationship with China?
Well, it's unfortunate, but there's a very long political history of controversy in the United States over cooperation with China in space that, in a way, goes all the way back to the 1950s when Chen Shui-shen was dismissed as a director of the U.S. Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And the most recent sanctions that were put in place, or restrictions put in place, almost forbid conversations between people at NASA and people in China. And it's largely caught up in political questions, and that's unfortunate for people who are interested in space science and exploration.
And tell me about the U.S. strategy moving forward with its space program, and what key decisions has the Obama administration already made?
Well, one difference, I think, between the United States and China is that China has a clear focus on the moon that we can see in the Chang'e mission. And the United States has moved in a different direction towards maybe looking at asteroids or maybe Mars. So there are different focuses between the two programs that the United States and China are pursuing at this time.
All right, and what about the money being doled out? Is there a huge difference here in the two countries?
Well, China hasn't been completely open with the amount of money it's spending on its programs, and it's difficult to compare because the systems are so different. But people have a sense that China is investing more, whereas the United States seems to be cutting back on its space budget over the last several decades.
All righty. Dr. Gregory Kulacki joining us from Los Angeles this afternoon. Thank you.